Hey there, it's time for my update, an update on my progress in selecting a new flight school and new flight instructor. It's been a couple of months since I posted the last video, and I'm happy to say that as of tomorrow, I will be starting my lessons again. And I would like to share with you what the process was like to help you guys who might be looking for a flight school currently, to kind of give you some tips on what you might not want to do. And number one, the mistake that I made early on was I looked for a school and an instructor that was close to my home. Sometimes proximity is not necessarily the best item of consideration when selecting a school, just because it's close. 20 minutes from my house, Class Charlie airspace, fairly busy airport. There were about 3 different school choices at the airport. It seemed to make sense to me. Talked to the ones that were there, made my choice based off of those 3. In terms of proximity, yeah, it was a 20-minute ride, busy airport in the morning, so it was very difficult sometimes to even take off. Where I am going beginning tomorrow is an airport that's much farther away from my home. It's about a hour drive. It's outside the Class Charlie airspace, so traffic is not going to become an issue. There will be no issues with radios as far as learning the actual stuff that you need to learn to fly an airplane. I'll be able to practice landings, maneuvers fairly closely, spend more time in my truck driving to the airport, and more time in the air once I get there. So number one, proximity should not be your reason. Cast a wider net. Consider other options farther outside your normal small drive time. Also, chemistry, number 2. If you believe that the two of you, your instructor and you, really click, that's important. If you don't, then number 3 is just as important, and that is, don't get locked in. If you are in a situation at a school with an instructor and things aren't going as you thought they should, even if it's been months, for me it was a year, decide, hey, there's got to be other options out there. Go ahead and stop the situation right then, walk away from that, look at other options and make a better choice based off of chemistry and the instructor's background. A lot of instructors we find in most flight schools, or a lot of flight schools today, are younger graduates from Embry-Riddle is a good example. And while you can't really blame them to want to move to the next level in their career path onto the airlines, they spend a lot of time, not necessarily because they enjoy training, but they want the flight time so that they can move on to the next step. I found an instructor who's a retired flight instructor for the airlines, and all he does is fly, teach, and he does not have any aspirations. Like I said, he's retired now from the airlines. That's kind of cool. And the reason I say that is because I would rather work with somebody who has a passion to teach someone how to fly an airplane and who has been doing it for many years than someone who is literally younger but yet inexperienced when it comes to training. Maybe it's not their passion to become an instructor. Maybe they're just there to try to gain some flight time. So you have to make the choice based off of who is in front of you. Get some information, ask probing questions, learn about their background. That should help you make the decision. And one of the last things I want to talk about is something that is kind of like the first step before you even start looking. You can start looking at the same time, but keep in mind that one of the best ways to save money when it comes to flight training, which is not cheap, is to spend time learning the basics before you step into an airplane. There are plenty of online schools that will get the job done. When you compare the cost of how much your flight instruction is going to be per hour, you will be saving so much money by just spending the money up front for something like Sporty's. It's sportys.com. They have a flight school, online school. Gold Seal is another one that has a flight school online. And Emzeroi is also. In fact, with respect to Jason Shepard, he has Ground School Academy, and I took that course in preparation for my written test, which I've already taken and passed. And that can get all out of the way before you start to get things done and get the flight time. You're going to be more efficient in the airplane. And one of the things that Jason Shepard said, which I quote all the time because I definitely understand what he means when he says that, an airplane is a terrible classroom. And the reason that he says that is because a classroom is where you're basically learning the rudimentary items, the things that you're going to have to always know, the things that you're going to know for your oral, for your written test, the things you're going to need for your check ride. What you can do in the airplane is take the knowledge and understanding that you believe you have from actually taking these courses, learning these items, studying, memorizing, and then putting those into practice to prove that, yeah, this is what I learned. This is the demonstration of my knowledge. It's not learning as you go, but demonstrating the knowledge that you already have. So that's the difference between trying to get into an airplane and just using that as a classroom. As of tomorrow, I plan to start posting videos. The weather looks promising for tomorrow, so I'm not concerned about anything being canceled or postponed or anything. My goal is to kind of spend the next 3 months. It's the end of February, so I kind of just look at it and say March, April, May. Finish all my training, do the solo, and then begin in May to prepare for my oral and the check ride. And then my deadline, because of my written test, is end of August. And my goal is to, at the end of August, have all that taken care of, and hopefully that will all be good. Anyway, thought I would share this update because I think it's important for you guys to get some of this information early on in your search process. Hopefully some of the information that I shared is going to be beneficial for you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to go ahead and just leave it with respect to this particular video, and I'll be able to respond accordingly. And until next post, we'll see you then.